I think AI is everything and nothing, and you should ask yourself initially what is your real need? What is your pain in your work today? And then think how AI can solve it. Don't think about AI as a general thing.
Hi, I'm Adam Gower, founder of GowerCrowd.com, where we help real estate syndicators find more investors. Welcome to the EasyWin AI Real Estate Show, exploring AI's impact on the real estate industry. Each episode offers practical tools, competitive AI strategies, and expert insights. For essential news and updates, visit EasyWin.ai and sign up for our free newsletter with actionable how-tos like how I added hours to my day by creating this clone of me you're watching and listening to right now. EasyWin.ai, the only newsletter you need on real estate and AI. All right, now back to the real me. My guest today is Tali Gross, who is co-founder and CEO of Dono.ai. Now, Dono.ai resides in what is and can potentially be thought of as slightly boring corner of the real estate investment world. However, if you know how to leverage title reports and title studies, you can find yourself an incredible pipeline of acquisition opportunities that you may never have considered before or come across any other way. It's absolutely fascinating. It's something that he and I actually start talking on quite late in our conversation today. But everything that Tali talks about is extremely interesting about how they are dramatically changing the way title reports are consumed or found, consumed, and actually used. You're going to love it. It's really interesting how they are leveraging AI to facilitate what is otherwise a highly manual process, right? All can be done online. All right, that's what I've got. And let's get on with it, shall we? Tali Gross, founder, and CEO of Dono.ai. Here he is. Tali, super good to meet you. Thanks so much for joining me today on the podcast.
Adam, thank you much for having me. It's
My pleasure. Yeah. So, all right. So let's jump straight in with the only thing viewers and listeners want to know is, what does Dono do? And am I pronouncing it right? Number one, what does Dono do? And how does it help real estate investors? Let's just start right there.
Okay, let's start right there. So Dono is doing a very trivial thing. We are providing every player in the real estate market and in some way in the financial ecosystem the ability to get instant answer on the biggest question of like property ownership. Just type the address in our system and instantly you will get an answer about what is going on with the ownership of this and that property. Simply, no headache, no high cost, no manual processes, super accurate with like in some way the state-of-the-art technology that we developed here.
All right, so let's talk about that. First of all, though, is it now, so do your customers, are they commercial real estate or are they single family, or like what is your customer avatar? Who's your ideal user?
Okay, it's a great question, and I will tell you that our ideal customer is every business that the question of property ownership affects their way of doing business. So we can talk about, in some way, everybody cares about this question today, and nobody can get a good and seamless answer to this question. So we're talking about mortgage lenders, we're talking about home insurance, we're talking about investors, about lawyers, about developers, about title companies, and many, many more. All of them are interested about this question.
All right, so I've been in this business a long time, and typically whenever I have a title question, I call the title company. Oh my goodness, send me over, right? Send me a title report, and I'm kind of interested in history, so I usually ask them, can you send me the full history of who's owned this thing? And what they do is they'll send over a title report with hot links. It's really cool to the original documents. So why would I go to Dono? Why can't I just call my title company? Because they're the ones that are going to insure me in the end anyway, aren't they?
It's a great question. And I will tell you that your experience today, when you told me that you're going to call someone and wait for their response, there's like few things. First, it's a broken process. And I'm not sure how many queries do you have on an ordinary basis, but think about that you have hundreds on a daily basis. So it's a broken process. You're dependent on humans that will do the job. And unfortunately, as a human, I can testify we're making mistakes. And above that, there is like the cost that are associated to every manual process. And we can in some way revoke those three problems that now associated. With that, I will tell you we're not in some way revoking the need of the title insurance. And we are working with title companies to make their flow much more efficient. So yeah.
Okay, so you work with title companies as well. So how do you do it? What is the secret of your success?
I will tell you that the secret is hard work, hard work, working 4 hours a day. That's the real secret of success. I think what we know how to do is super unique technology that knows eventually in some way how to do three things. We know how to collect all of the records in real time from those super local sources. We know how to extract the data from each and every record and index it instantly. And then we have this decision engine that knows how to build in some way the search, to build kind of like the map of each and every property, understand what is missing, recollect, so eventually you can get like the full package. And based on the package that we built, we know how to take decisions because we have a very deep understanding of like title underwriting rules, and then eventually we can provide you the report in an instant decision in a matter of like minutes since you submitted the address or the APN or the parcel in our system.
Oh, very cool. So I'm going to have a little test drive afterwards. But is all the information available online? I actually remember having to go down to the planning department and pull documents, right? Because they hadn't digitized it yet. So how do you deal with that issue?
That's a great question. So you are right that some counties you still need to go to the office, knock on the door, open books. Our priority is not focusing in those counties. We are focusing in counties that exist in like any digital way, the counties themselves or plans and so on. I can tell that based on our calculation, somewhere like around like 80+% of that transaction happens in counties that we can cover. So like
Oh,
really,
and it's just in the US, right, Tali?
currently we are working in the US, but as discussed, England can be a very interesting place to expand.
So what proportion of I know this is probably an unfair question, but what proportion of the country are you able to cover? I mean, are there any kind of notable gaps in your coverage?
No, so now we are working in few hundreds of counties. We are expanding really fast. We believe that by the end of the year, we will cover like around like third of the counties in the States.
Okay.
And by the end of next year, we are planning to have really like nationwide coverage.
So how do you deliver the results? You know, we're doing a podcast. I mean, it's on YouTube as well, but for the most part, it's audio. So describe what do they look like? So like I said, I know what a title company delivers. Typically, they'll send you a PDF that has the legal description and the kind of the history with hot links to the original documents if you ask for it. So how do you deliver results?
So the best way that you will just use our system, and in our system, you will have an interactive report. Everything will be there, including all of the records and all of the information that we extracted from the record itself. And of course, we know how to extract different data points from different records based on the type of the record. And we'll provide you much more than that. Of course, legal description, current owner, and so on. We will alert you about problems, about gaps in the title that we identify. And of course, much more than that. We're talking about like AVMs, tax bills, and so on. All of that will be in a report that is like online, super interactive. And of course, you can download it in any form that you want. You can get the PDF that you can download it, you can hyperlink, so you can get like a hyperlink to the report, you can get a link to each and every record, you can download it as a package, you can download the records that are associated only to the last owner, and so on and so on. Everything is super adjustable, and basically it's like a matter of like you clicking and so on. And I will tell you more than that, you have also a control in advance about like the search. Do you want to do a current owner search? Do you want to go 30 years back? Do you want to go 80 years back? It's all dependent on your like running the search in the system, and everything is like super editable and super easy to use.
Gosh, I announced that, I tap out questions as you're talking. So I'm up to about 50 or so questions now that I want to know about.
Go for it. Go for it. I will answer them all, but let's try one by
We've
one.
got limited time, so I'll just try and stay on some of this stuff. So let
I
me
will
ask you.
escape eventually.
Well, the other thing, exactly. Oh, internet went out. Sorry. Click. All right, but I'm trying to put them in some kind of logical order. So let me ask you this then. So you've described a few use patterns or uses that, or ways that people can use it. How do your power users use Dono? Well, like, what are they doing? How are they using it? What are their patterns?
What do you mean by power? I'm not sure I fully.
Power use somebody who is obsessively using the platform and running searches all the time. Like, what are they doing? Are they, for example, what comes to mind is one of the things that you said, an owner search. All right, well, I want to find out what else does this owner use, right? Own, right? This person own. Like, I want their portfolio. So let me see. That's a great way to, try and unwrap off-market opportunities, for example.
Yeah, so I think what is fascinating that in some way everybody has a unique need in some way, but with that, what is common with everybody that we help them to unlock opportunities that now they cannot do in some way. So we have, for example, a distressed property investor. He is getting a list of like certain properties in 6 a.m. every morning, and he needs to submit an offer in 8:30. So we have 2.5 hours to do his DD on the properties. And now, and prior Dono, he doesn't have any understanding what's going on. And now we can just run all of the addresses in the Dono system and get answers instantly. And then he can decide what are the properties that he is interested in. We have a divorce lawyer. When a couple is getting divorced, they want to understand what assets the other side had. So we can simply run a search in our system, and so on and so on. We help huge title companies start working in new geographies that today they cannot support because they have like limited coverage from their like headcount, and so on and so on. But really, in some way, help them to unlock opportunities that today they cannot chase because they have high dependency on manual work.
So how does your distressed asset buyer, how does a distressed asset buyer use the platform? What kind of things are they looking for exactly?
So let's take like the auction example. So they want to submit a deed at an auction about like a tax deed or so on. They want to check, for example, that there's like no open liens, because they know that if they are going to buy this property with an open lien, they are screwed. I hope it's okay to, and they have like a major problem. So they want to check that the owner is actually the owner, no problem with his ownership, and no open lien. So it's like a very simple and straightforward question. And we can provide them this answer. We have some other investors that are looking actively to locate certain types of properties with delay in paying their taxes, properties with like open judgments, certain judgments against the property that they know they have a thesis that probably the owner is willing to sell the asset in a better price. And I will tell you what's surprising, and we are learning a lot, that
Mm.
there's like a huge amount of data in the records. We know how to facilitate, and you have the opportunity to come with your knowledge and ask the right questions to the system. So you have a thesis, this is the types of properties I'm now looking after. Now there is like no way to filter them out of like the millions of properties. We can provide you this ability to filter them out instantly.
That is very, very cool. And leads me on to my next question. But before I do that, so what I can do on Dono then is can I set a set of certain search criteria in a particular area, let's say, and set alerts if something happens? Like how, or is it like I got to come in? Like, how does it work actually?
Okay, so yes and not yet. We have the ability, commercially, we will offer current clients the ability to ask questions about a certain property. Who is the owner in 123 Main Street? But definitely in a matter of months, you can ask, please provide me the list of all of the properties that Adam is the owner of them in Florida and so on. And then, of course, you can add more criteria like houses that worth more than this and that amount, that their tax bill is in this and that status, that they have open liens, and so on and so on. Definitely that's where we are heading. And it's a matter of time in some way, but we are working hard to make it happen.
All right. So now, of course, the big question: how do you? Because you mentioned we can find. You didn't use this term exactly. And it's been a long time since I've come across any really iffy title reports. I will give you some examples in a minute that were very cool, actually, that we came across when I was at the bank. But you didn't use the term cloud on title. I think that's the term that's used, right? There's something not right, right? There's just something that isn't clear. So
Yes.
how are you doing that, and how are you using AI, which is what I wanted to come to.
Okay, so we're using, I will start with how we're using AI. We're using an AI in everything. I will start like from start. We're using AI to extract the text from the records. As you know, records are messy, unclear, lots of handwrite. Regular technologies cannot handle extracting the text. Like a regular OCR technology cannot do it. So it's a combination of like OCR and deep LLM and AI technologies that we develop. That's like first part. The second part is to index it. So now we have the text. We need to understand what's going on in this piece of text. And this understanding of like the structure of the text and like the grantor, everything there in the text is something that you need a very advanced technology and very unique models in some way to handle those records to accurately index them, because missing like mistaking like a indexing a mortgage can be a huge mess. So that's like the second part. And the third part is basically applying all of like the title underwriting rules on the data that we collected and organized. And that's also AI, because we need to build relationship, and in some way every property has a different story because they have different set of records that are creating a different result in the end. As for your question, because we understand the records, because we
Mhm.
understand the content in some way that is in the records really, really good, we understand the relationship. So, like the simplest example, we have a mortgage, we have a satisfaction, we know that they are related or not. If they're not related, we'll tell you, listen, Adam, this guy, he has an open mortgage on the property, and it's not like the maturity date didn't pass yet, so you have a problem. Go figure out what's going on. And that's only a simple example. It's becoming more complex, as you know, because we have assignments and everything is more complex in this world. But really, it's our deep understanding of title with our very unique and advanced AI technologies.
Phenomenal. So now you've got this Ask Dono feature, don't you? So talk about that. What is that? Is that like a chat bot, or how does it work?
As you know, you're getting, as a potential user, you're getting the report from the agents, and then you have questions on this report. You want to figure out certain stuff. So now you need to call the agents, or you need to try to figure out itself. It can be everything from like the dumbest like example, who was the notary on like the mortgage, to what's the maturity date, to what's the amount in the mortgage, to so on and so on. With AskDono, we have, because we have this deep understanding in the data and because we organize it, now you can just ask questions. Do this property has any open mortgages? And then it can tell you, yes, this is the mortgage, this is the amount, this is the effective date on the mortgage, and so on. And we can provide you the ability to get answers to the questions that you're interested on this property, on this record, and so on.
So can I chat to a group? Can I talk to a county, for example, and say, yeah.
Yes, as discussed in the next step, once we will provide commercially the ability to ask like broader questions and not only like on one property. Yeah, you can ask question on a county, on a state, on a town, and so on.
Very cool. Very interesting. So I'm going to give you an example of a wacky title report that I came across some years ago. Uh, and mostly just anecdotally, Tali, but also just, maybe this is something you guys would pick up. But you know how there's a detailed legal description from the point here to the so many degrees to the north, southwest, and then to the southwest east corner, and the this, that, the other. You go 20 feet, and then this, that, and the other. So
This long paragraph.
we mapped those.
Okay.
We asked the title company map it and give us an actual map of the property with all the easements, color coded. It's very cool. It just helps to understand what's behind that. One of the things that we came up with, believe it or not, this was in the distressed world some years ago, was a piece of property. There was a bunch of examples like this where it started at point A, and in theory, it should come back to point A, but didn't. It stopped somewhere else. So there was clearly something wrong with the legal description. So with those kinds of things, is that something that that Dono can do? Can you create a map from a legal description? Again, I don't want to presume.
I will tell you, I will be honest, currently not, no, but we do know for a different part, many deeds, they have problems with their legal descriptions.
Right.
So and you need to be very accurate with like your legal description, like missing typos can be, the deed is not valid in some way. And we know in some way to collect, are collecting the legal descriptions from all of the records, deeds, and so on. We are comparing it, so when we are providing you in the system the legal description, it will be the right one because we understand the structure of the legal description. We know how there's like some players that wants to break the legal description into like certain parts. We know how to do it as well, but we have like a bit, because we are reading each data point, we can provide you like the right thing eventually. But definitely drawing a map is an interesting idea and we should do it.
Yeah, again, just I'm not like, looking for.
The question is, how do you thought about drawing a map based on the legal description? That's the biggest question.
Well, yeah, for you, yes. I think that the way that I think when I had them done, it was actually the engineers that did it. It was very cool. They're happy
No,
to do it. Somebody actually drew it.
It's not a challenging task.
Mm.
And we just, in some way, I will challenge you. We need to figure out like if it's a big problem. If so, we can make it happen.
If it's something that people want. So how do you ensure accuracy? Because this is, you've got users here relying pretty much on these reports. What is your process for ensuring accuracy?
So three parts in some way. First of all, we have human in the loop, and we have human in the loop in two aspects. One, in the aspect that the human is building the system, the human is testing. We have a team of title experts that helps us to build the logics, that how to gather the right information, how to understand the right information, and how to analyze it to eventually get the decision. And they are running thousands of orders on an ongoing basis to check that the system is accurate, is not missing. That's part number one that we're doing prior. When you are running a search, we have a very advanced system that is some way verifying that everything is okay. If we figure out that there's like something problematic in the report that we want to provide you, we will alert someone on our team so he will take a look about like what's going on. This notice of commitments had a problem. Please take a second look. And in 95% of of those issues, you will solve it instantly and you will not feel as a user anything. In 5%, there is a problem that in some way is unresolvable, and we will mark it for you in red. Listen, here, do you have a problem in the report? We couldn't solve it. You should be aware of this problem. And the third part that we have an insurance that is covering us for like errors and ammunitions.
Right, that's very good.
It's important.
You've got your own
Yeah,
CYA, exactly.
yeah.
Right. All right. So what's your financial model? How do people, like, somebody signs up, how do they pay and how does it work? Exactly.
So really simple, you're getting a user to our software. Again, when we're talking, so we'll go back. We have big enterprise companies that are using our API, and then it's much more complex because we need to integrate it into their system and so on. But regular users are getting user into our account. They're buying kind of like a bank of searches. There is like depends on like the searches that they want to conduct, current, full, and so on and so on. Credit card that is plugged into the system, and they can just run searches instantly.
So is it like when you say a bank of search, you would buy 10 searches or 20 searches?
Exactly. We are providing, if somebody wants to commit to a certain amount, we can provide them a discount. But if you just want want to buy a bank of 100 searches, buy it, no expiration date, use it as much as you want.
Okay.
And we see that like users that are becoming regular are switching to kind of like a subscription model, and then they're getting like a discount.
Okay. And so you have a subscription model as well, like a monthly for a certain number of searches.
Yeah, but you don't have to commit into a subscription once you're testing in some way the system.
Okay. And how are you guys financed? And by the way, you're allowed to tell me to stop asking questions, and I'm not answering that question. Like, are you VC backed or are you?
We are a VC backed company. We are very happy to have amazing investors that are supporting us. So yeah, VC backed.
Any rounds of are you raising at the moment?
Let's talk about it in our next one.
Okay, fine. All right, got it. Right, so we'll move on. So what have been your biggest, and we'll wrap up in a couple of minutes, all right? So I've got 3 sign-off questions, but I've got one question that I do like to ask because it's my business entirely, which is marketing.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest marketing challenges you have? Let's start with that. Biggest marketing challenges.
It's a great question. And I think the biggest challenge is building trust. Because most of the players are regular to this super traditional title industry. They have their procedures. Everybody knows it's manual. And when you're coming and we're telling people, listen, technology can make it faster, more accurate, and more affordable, some of them have a hard time to trust you, and you need to build this trust. And that's like the biggest challenge.
And what have been the most effective marketing channels for you to find customers?
Build what we call, like, we're working with like industry veterans, people that you know and trust. They checked our system and they are introducing us to their network. Again, so we are doing more like kind of like sales and not marketing, if you're thinking about it in this way. But that's what we figure out is like the most effective in the current stage of the company.
And do you do paid advertising or organic social media or SEO or like some of the classic stuff? How do you do it?
And we are thinking about that to do it next year. We started like really kicked off like a really few months ago. So now we want
Ah,
to establishing our brand with like a few notable customers. We will start like kind of like a PR in the next few weeks. So building our brand and reputation in the market, and then leveraging this like current PR and clients into like a successful campaigns.
Tali, let's wrap up with three sign-off questions I ask every one of my guests.
Okay,
They're
ready?
rapid fire. Gave you absolutely no idea what I was going to ask, but that's okay. Commercial real estate investors or real estate investors today, why should they be paying attention? So my show is all about AI, right? We're trying to figure out what other things over here in real estate. So
Yeah.
why should real estate investors be paying attention to AI today?
I think AI is everything and nothing, and you should ask yourself initially what is your real need? What is your pain in your work today? And then think how AI can solve it. Don't think about AI as a general thing. Think about your pains and then try to solve it. So an AI can do amazing stuff, but you should first understand what is your needs.
And how do you use it, Tally, every day? I mean, I presume you use AI. I use it all the time.
As a personal user, drafting contracts, emails, building plans, hiring people. In some way, I have a crazy idea that I want to discuss with someone. So before I'm presenting it to my partners and my investors, I can have a conversation with some of the models to get their feedback and thoughts.
Which do you like particularly for that kind of thing?
I started with ChatGPT and
Mm.
now I'm using Claude, and I'm not sure what do I prefer now. They're both great, and sometimes I'm using it in parallel and they're producing
Mm.
different things, so I love them both.
Yeah, yeah. I often run results of a search on one on
Okay,
another one to see if I can refine it and go back.
who's lying more?
Which one's hallucinating the most? Exactly. All right, last question. So for somebody who's not tried, um, really testing any of these LLMs or any of these platforms at all, who's a who's a real estate investor, is there anything that you can suggest they could try right now, like as soon as they stop listening, that would give them a kind of aha moment? Oh my goodness, I'd no idea. Oh, that is amazing, kind of thing. Have you ever had any of those experiences using any of the LLMs?
It's a great question. I think my aha moment was when OpenAI released their model, and I was like, listen, it's like now we're used to that, but it's like, listen, we can actually talk to a machine. Now, how they can use it, I think the main thing is like you want to build a new thesis, you want to start working in a different geography, in a different type of properties. It can help you get kind of like a solid background about like things that you want to understand and you don't have you're embarrassed to ask, or you don't have like the right person to ask about them. So it can be a kind of like an initial and solid ground in some way.
Tali Gross, CEO and co-founder of Dono.ai. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Adam, thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure and have a good day.
All right, that was Tali Gross, who is co-founder and CEO of Dono.ai. So he and I are actually we've already set in place a time to do a demo where he's going to walk me through how to use the platform. And of course, being the distressed real estate buff that I am, that is what we're going to try and do. But in all likelihood, or try to find anyway, using the platform. But in all likelihood, we'll look at some other really cool applications of the platform, and I'm really looking forward to it. Tali, thank you so much for offering to do that. And of course, thank you so much for for joining me today on the podcast. And thank you too, dear viewers and listeners, for joining us today. I hope you are enjoying these podcasts on how technology is dramatically changing our industry. It's really, I find it incredibly exciting, this whole process of finding these companies that are innovating solutions to long-term challenges that we've always faced in the industry, and making breakthroughs and really revolutionizing how commercial real estate, how real estate is invested in, and how the industry functions in general. So thank you. Thanks for joining. And I'm going to wrap up now. So until next time, this is Adam Gower signing off.